Welcome to Reflections with me, Peter Mills, and Yari Stilo.
Hey, thank you for having me in your podcast.
Oh, well, thank you. And of course, we are still figuring out what this is. But where are you today, Yari?
I am in Stockholm, in a part of Stockholm called Österberga, uh, really beside the Höjden, dance studios place, um, where a nice community of Stockholm is actually using it, meeting, festival organizing stuff. And it's comforting to be here. I am at floor, eighth floor,
Ah,
so I
wow.
can see a lot. And Stockholm is also full of snow right now, so it's also practical to see if the buses are going or not. For example, it's like, is this? I think I should walk.
And I can say I am at home in Cambridge. This is my kitchen, living room, and outside I see blue sky, no snow, some birds, and I've already been out this morning. I walked as the sun was rising across the fields and things here in Cambridge. Um, but shall we put some music on and have a little dance?
Okay.
See,
Uh,
see where we are.
okay.
We haven't planned this. We're just let's start with a dance. That's what you said, right?
Right. Yeah.
Oh wow. I mean, I would love to dance and talk at the same time. I mean, maybe we are. I mean, we have this question, don't we, from the episode that we'll have released this week. What is choreography? And there's something about patterns and habits and structures that reappear and choreograph us. Um, I
Yeah.
was really aware of that, especially with the music, and then noticing histories and stories. Even just at some moment, I was like, isn't it amazing just to turn and to spin? It's like, what a glorious thing to do. But yeah, we can continue dancing. That's what I wanted to say. We will continue dancing. Can we
Okay.
stop dancing?
No, we can't. If you, yeah, we should try to 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 be with dance while we speak about this choreography. Is
Yeah,
that the thing?
yeah,
Or while we
exactly.
speak? Yeah,
Yeah.
why
And
not?
and you said before you were like, well, Peter, you're the choreographer. You're the which I love, like this relationship of like authority and just sort of structuring. So but I mean we can talk about it. We already have been talking about it, but not in recording. Um but like it um it by me saying now, what if we're dancing while we're talking? What if that's dance? A little bit Deborah Hay, right? What if that's dance? It
Yeah,
becomes
right.
dance, or it comes into the world of dance. Um, yeah, I'm reading Alva Noe's The Entanglement, which Jonathan Burrows mentions in his podcast, which you've heard, I think. And in that, he speaks about what art is and how art somehow like takes dance, which is a very human activity, just like depicting things, drawing and singing, and it puts it into a context where we can rethink what dance is, question it, challenge it, rework our sort of habitual relationship. And he goes even further, almost to sort of suggest we're reworking life itself, like that dance is just a component of living. And through artistic endeavors like choreographing, we are reworking that. So now we're in this choreographic invitation to dance whilst talking.
mm,
There's something we're reworking a habitual. Like, and maybe we can even tone it down, right? We can,
mm.
what if we're not trying to dance at all, but still we have this prompt of while we're talking, or maybe as you're listening, because now I'm doing loads of talking, we
Yeah.
are we are we are dancing. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for talking, by the way. I feel like as a dancer, I'm always confronted with the choreographer giving an input, me receiving back, and feel so empowered by using that input, by redoing something and giving back also. So I can see already that uh, from your podcast, from the episode of What is Choreography, there is there's a constant conversation between dance and choreography. I'm thinking also about responsibility and how I'm, as a dancer, I'm happy that the choreographer take a responsibility and I just follow as a power, as an imperative almost.
Yeah.
And so allow me to just go on a way that is my way, is my interpretation of that imperative or in that choreography, in that, and I don't have to doubt because the person that can doubt is the choreographer. Like suddenly I'm thinking about this role playing,
Mm.
and yet also clearly so many choreographers have been inspired by what I was doing. So that's leading and following. And I'm taking that because I'm also dancing tango. It's it's always present. And I mean also choreography and dance, no?
Yeah.
Because in the second part of your prompt, where in the first you really try to take choreography out of dance and
Yeah.
think about expanded choreography beyond dance, more in a social setup, but also see the invisible um, power that choreography has.
Mm.
Um, um, and I'm thinking we have to focus really to understand what is shaping us, no, in the first prompt of this
Yes.
episode. Really, we have to like, okay, why are we dancing like this now?
Yeah.
What are the choreography that are shaping ourselves? Because the dance is not even still present yet in that prompt.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, and because we used as dancer, we are used also to use dance as a way to abstract.
Mm.
In the first prompt, we are obliged to be with choreography. You know, we can't go to dance, we can't go to creativity, we can't go to the traces that are like, we can go somewhere else. So this is also very interesting.
Mm.
And we are obliged to looking for what shaped us. That is not as normal because usually a
Yeah.
choreographer give a choreography that is quite clear and the
Hmm.
power is so strong and so direct, as we just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously this is the choreography, but now it's like what shape us beyond that, and it's a political act somehow looking for what shape us,
Hmm. Hmm.
what we are already choreographed. Before we start choreographing, even many of us start
Hmm.
choreographing like this. What
Yes.
is already there before, I mean, I'm going through something, like
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah. I have to like stop myself because I just recorded an episode with Lee Anderson, and in there she copies. So this will come out in a few weeks. And she uses copying in a way to sort of, exactly as you say, like deal with the social component that exists um, in dancing, and also to maybe to speak to what Jonathan Burrows was saying, because it's from Jonathan Burrows that I started reading this Entanglement by Alva Noe, and he had this sort of, well, he brings up a conversation he had with Krista Parkinson around um, everyone being a choreographer. This is what Jonathan sort of like was alluding to, I think, from his reading of Alva Noe. And um, Krista saying, but you have to be careful not to erase the role of the dancer. And the way you articulated it then is really interesting because it is this entangled um, condition, and it's not to say that it's um, that one doesn't outperform the other, or one is stable somehow, or that they're the same, perhaps, but that they they play and they relate, and exactly like the invitation allows for a consideration. And yeah, so what were we doing in that first prompt? Like this is from the workshop, or the workshop, what is choreography, that just released this week. And the first thing was to um, look for the systems, the structures that are like influencing, causing the dance. Like really, what is it? Is it just the physical body? Is it our structure? Is it the place? Um, which also makes sense why we start with like, where are we, and what are we dancing, right? Like, because it sort of echoes that question a little bit. And then after we started, I invited that you collect choreographies in some way. Um, how do you feel like, how do you collect choreographies? Do you keep an archive of all the dances you've done? Do you keep notebooks or audio recordings or videos? Do you have a dancer reel, Yari?
yeah, I have a dance reel, but it's from 2012, so it's quite old. Maybe one from 2010 and one from so it's quite.
Yeah.
Um,
But it's
I
an
just
interesting question, right? How do you collect these choreographies? Like, how do they manifest?
Yeah, um, collecting choreographies is not collecting dance, maybe dances somehow.
Mm.
So I definitely, I mean, collecting choreography also seems a bit collecting scores also.
Yeah.
It's a choreography in that sense, a score are very near than right now. If we think about um, I, and also dances because there is a dance and whatever is left, the traces of that dance, the traces of a dance become a choreography. This is what it looks to me. You are telling me, right?
Hmm.
Any traces of a dance become a choreography for the next time you dance it again, or was a choreography,
Mm.
or was a dance for maybe the dance is more sub in that case the dance could be considered more subject There is a
Yes.
dance, and then there is a choreography that will give another dance. The same choreography will give another dance. I'm thinking, maybe I'm wrong. I'm just thinking
No,
through
no.
that. And I do a lot of sound recording, and
Mm,
I do a lot of writing.
mm.
And what I mean writing, I mean mostly scores.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
and it's interesting because the scores, the writing it's a way to open up experience. If we take choreography as the old question, old choreography is movement through space and
Mm,
time.
mm-hmm,
Basically, is what I do. I write, and because the action of writing and the visual that produce, when I go back, I can go back. There are doors for my experience to open again and to remember
mm,
that. So it's not that there are experiential objects, those scores or those choreography that open up doors for the dance to appear again, or for what I want to be appeared again. I think so. It's also, I think maybe it's something a bit like, I don't know if you ever memorized, you had like this method of how to memorize.
mm.
It's a bit that. It's not a memory. It's not about,
Right.
oh, now I remember. It's more like, oh, now I feel. But it's the same thing in
Yeah.
that sense. So because the act
So you mean
of
like taking
writing,
notes to try and
exactly.
just capture or like to aid the memorization process?
Yeah, it's almost that if the act of writing
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that is inscribing also
And
the
so
experience.
if we go back to that first question, then it's a little bit like you were saying, we are we as dancers, we are constantly dealing with the habitual, right? Like even the artifacts we use, they're all in aid of the physical memorization, often sensation or coordination or structure and um, yeah, is that fair to say? Sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean it's if I understood you well, also is in relation to Albanotto,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like almost as habits, so the body is the first thing.
yes,
Uh,
exactly.
did,
Yeah,
and did we yeah, it's and deconstructing the habits is then the choreography, or
yeah.
reconstructing the habits is then the choreography.
Yeah, the artistic process, yeah, can be the reconstructing or the intervening. This is definitely how I was thinking or understanding what Alvaro is saying. That, I mean, but he also says that it's entangled. So the habits that the dancer dances, the dances that we dance, the dancing we do, maybe to say, is entangled with the dance that is choreographed, with the in the sort of not blockages, but interfering with those dancing, with that dancing, with those habits, and so on.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
and I think what is interesting is within that schema as well, like radicality has a sort of blurriness to it, right? Like um, it almost feels like it creates an argument for where the subtlest of choreography, the subtle of intervention, is equally is equal to the most brutal of intervention. So you can
All right.
you have, because it's so entangled, because the dance is a product of the artistic relationship to dancing, uh, subtlety can be just as radical because, for example, right, you have the dancing body, the figure, and you adjust it just slightly. if you just adjust it greatly, you skip all that subtlety in between.
Mm.
And there's a possibility that those iterative or subtle changes have a specific value to be added. Like, yeah, I'm getting very philosophical and sort of like
Yeah, we are obviously we are
it,
dancing at the same time, so
it is just
that's the
that's
problem.
a problem.
But I'm thinking if you are speaking about, for example, practicing and change. So how when you practice something, you anyway usually adjust a little by little into details.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, and that's so the iteration and reiteration of things and
Mm,
how that's construct
mm,
and move toward a journey
mm,
and how then you perceive a change that suddenly because the iteration is not as similar of the one before, then there is a change.
yeah.
But if not, it's more a sort of development or progress, or you know what I mean in that sense. I wonder if it's also you are also speaking about
Yeah.
that place.
Yes.
But definitely you're also speaking about what to look at. Um,
Yes.
like also in terms of zoom in and zoom out. And that zoom in, sometimes gestures can make so much a dance, for
Yeah.
example, or a little moment, the moment can become a strong part of a choreography of a huge change and
Mm.
so on. And I don't know why I also connect to the beginning when you spoke about, but I can't go back. My dance is lost. In the second part of your prompt, you
Yeah.
add dance. So the first part of your
Yes.
prompt is taking out dance from choreographies to really see what our body can do in the realm of choreography, and which are the force, invisible force. In the second part, you actually um, add what then dance beside choreography and how they can relate differently and reconstellate, reform each
Yes.
other. And so
Yes.
dance become this feedback, this the choreography for the choreography. Maybe I said that already.
No, but I think
Okay.
it relates, right? And this kind of echoes a little bit like the last prompt in the workshop where I invite us to go back to Zoe Pollock's exercise of just dancing, where she has a focus on, which I don't say in the workshop episode, but I perhaps should have a focus on, is it non-instrumentalizing?
Yeah,
Is
I
it?
think this is what you say. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
she says, yeah.
Yeah, she says yeah.
Yeah. Not to use dance for something else, not to have
Yeah.
it instrumentalized for something, which is so interesting, like politically, right? That's this, um, there is this sort of world of like, yeah, for, and she wishes for it to be for itself, and she speaks about it being a paradox, that we could be just dancing. But then if we take it to this uh, concept from Alvanoe, this entanglement concept, to be human, to be part of a human culture is to be dancing. You know, there's this sense of like to live is to dance, to live is to make art, to live is to, so it's implicated already, which is so interesting,
Yeah.
um, in some ways. And yet I do start with, I don't know if you did this or if you remember, but I started the workshop by returning to that task of don't dance. And if you start feeling, getting the felt sense of dance, to do something else, which sort of addresses that question again in a different way of like, um, why do I feel as though something is more or less dance? Like, where does this qualitative understanding come from? Which again interjects a kind of creative act of, okay, what if I reinterpret things? What if I'm revaluing things as dance or not as dance in some way?
Yeah. Yeah, I think also this is what the first part of the prompt does, oblige you to see also that dance is contextual. And we recognize dance also because we are busy today in a podcast about dance. Because if I'm usually doing that, it's not dance.
No,
Like,
exactly.
of course, I mean, in that also, like, which kind of glasses,
Yeah.
maybe it's also, yeah, which kind of glasses do we put on right now? And I think you also speak about that in the podcast when you speak about titles.
Yeah.
When you say, oh, expanded choreography, a title can give a clearly choreographic already direction. If you say, if you call a dance sad, everyone will read
Mm-hmm.
the audience will read your dance as sad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think in that sense is
Or at least in
exactly
relationship to sadness. Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Mm.
And you're speaking about maybe about really that act of the audience
Yeah.
of being part of the artwork. Do you remember that? Or like the audience reading the choreography or
Well,
uh,
exactly. Actually, so I think what I find really interesting that um, I managed to sort of work with Sarah Lindstrom. Is that Sarah's last name
yeah,
from your class? Yeah. Um, Around the idea that, well, we all have a relationship to dance, and we're through artistic dancing, through the art around dance, to borrow from Alva Noe, we are um, always reconfiguring and defining our relationship. So they they can. I think what was interesting when I was sort of working with Sarah on this idea that everyone has a relationship to dance, so therefore, just even as a spectator, and Jonathan Burrows says this, just by watching, your body is somehow mimicking through its neurons, through its mirror neurons, the dancing. You have a relationship to what is dance, what it can be, what it can be for, and so on. And so, um, yeah, when working with Sarah, I was like, there's but obviously, maybe people don't have, like, could people, am I being too um too 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 biased maybe in my own perspective to sort of like everyone knows what dance is, everyone relates to it, um like, is dance really a fundamental thing, like Alva Noe says, like, and I somehow believe it is. I mean, even just patterns, even it's hard to imagine someone who has no relationship to dance, or very, very little. Maybe babies who I work with are subjects you could sort of imagine as having very, very little relationship to dance. But even they're working with patterns, they're working with body and sensation and perception of patterns and relationship to those things. And maybe not even pattern, like, does dance even have to have a clear pattern? uh, what are we recognizing in dance when we think it to be dance, or understand it to be dance, or have a felt sense of dance? And are there places where it's completely unrecognizable? um, and with Zoe, I bring it up as well, like what Andrea Lepecki was saying, the inclusion of stillness and pause as elemental to dance, just as equal to movement, which is a sort of modernist understanding of dance. You could say that it's dance is movement, but obviously the there are other conditions at play in dancing, not just the movement. Movement can't exist without stillness in a way. It needs that opposition, that pattern making, for it to be recognized somehow. That's not what Andrea Lepecki says. That's what I'm sort of saying now, or trying to imagine. Am I getting lost in the weeds, Yari?
We are dancing, so is being lost. It's part of the game, I suppose. It reminded me though that sensation are a way, like suspension that is not exactly stillness, but it's very connected to dance. It's like
Yes.
it's that, it's that feeling.
Mm.
I I had this tour where I experienced where I speak about my experience with dance, and I would bring people inside an elevator, and then
Where would you bring them? Sorry, inside
inside an
a
elevator, and then I would
elevator.
tell them,
Yeah.
so the dancer, the the ballet dancer very often
Yes.
would do this jump, and the jump and in the up moment of the jump there would be this suspension. This is
Yeah.
exactly this moment where the elevator go up and stop, and part of your body still go up and the other is actually stays down,
Hmm.
and that it's that suspension is a very strong feeling of dance to be recognized.
Yeah.
Again, what you said also, the mirror neurons, the kinesthetic empathy somehow, where
Exactly.
we see someone moving and we feel movement, but this is also difference between me and you, and non-dancer. Like
Hmm.
we have so much of those neurons, we have so much of this experience that anything for us, we could actually relate, we could
Hmm.
empathize
Mm.
any movement. Where with other people, they have another like capacity in that sense. I have no idea, though. Of course, I cannot know,
Oh
but
yeah,
like,
but let's break that down, because I think you're talking about something really interesting. Uh, because I agree, uh, to some extent, uh, but also if mirror neurons is an unconscious activity that we can't really help, then surely everyone has, movement, uh, being influenced into their system, uh, whereas we have a focused, um, sort of work on that relationship, and also in with mm, a not a sort of commitment to, or a trying to promote a promotion of an
sure.
artistic involvement in it,
Yeah,
which I would argue, I mean, especially if art and life is entangled, then surely people are doing that as well. I think then we maybe get into an area of what is permitted, or what are we allowed to do, what is possible to do, how far can we go. So me and you, we have like, we're in spaces and we're within communities and situations where we're not being policed maybe in the same manner as many people, right? That we have a lot more freedom to go, as far as we wish. But again, it touches back on like the question of radicality that I had earlier. Mm, like, just because we're in really, free, less dominated spaces around the the artistry you can do with dance, do others not have a less radical, um, kind of, experience
mm.
of being creative with dance?
With
I
art,
don't know. With
right?
art, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. I think it touched different things. It touched a bit like the art that comfort, or the part of art that comfort. And of course, because it's very clear that me and you right now, we are comforted by what we do. Like,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
So, but also, or the part of art that actually challenge you, confront maybe even you. And I would say also that, I mean, we are so busy in art right now in question about being political, and
Hmm.
so very often that there is these things, it's like, oh, we have to make it this as worthy, no?
Yeah.
And I really as worthy. I really loved the episode with Zoe because you came from a manifestation.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Protest.
came from, and then the protest, and then you were inside the dance studio doing this dance for the sake of dancing. That
Hmm.
so art for the sake of art. So no using that for a political thing somehow.
Yeah.
So that was called just dancing. You were
Hmm.
just dancing.
Mm.
And it was so strong, the question about like, oh, what do we do? People are out protesting and we're inside just dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And where's the justice in that? And also I brought up the question of ethics as well as the efficacy of dancing, of art, and what role does ethics play, and is there freedom without freedom for others as well? Yari, we will continue on another date next week, hopefully, and we'll keep this up. We'll see where it goes. We don't know what it is. We don't know what dance or choreography is. We're just figuring it out. So thank you so much, Yari, and I'll see you in the next one. Hi, thanks for listening. If you can support the podcast, please go to paypal.me/dancepeter. I'm just looking for a little bit of funding to help support the cost of the hosting. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you so much.